Everything is hard before it's easy. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Athlete Podcast sponsored by Sports for Champions. Today I'm joined by professional rugby player Sarah Nicholas. How are you today, Sarah?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. As we always do in the podcast, we'll go all the way back to the very beginning. Can you tell us how you first got involved with rugby?
Yeah, so I first started playing rugby when I was 6. My brother played rugby, and I used to go along and watch him. My dad used to take me to watch him, and then his coach noticed that I was going a lot, so said, you should try it. So there was a mini section at Lichfield Rugby Club, which is where I started, went along and then loved it ever since, so I've just been playing ever since then.
Have you always been sort of sporty in the family?
Yeah, so my brother played rugby, my other brother played football, my uncle's a golfer, my cousins are golfers, my dad played rugby when he was younger, my mum played netball.
Wow.
So yeah, lots of sport in the family.
Was it just a case of when you were young figuring out which sport you were going to play?
Yeah.
Did you try a few? Or?
Yeah, I think so. So I tried football as well. I did every sport I could at school. I tried football as well. So I played football for a couple of years too. Played at school, played for a club outside of school. And then also played golf as well. I did cricket, netball, hockey, did everything. So
wow,
yeah.
A bit of everything. I think that's the best advice for young people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, just try a bit of everything because you never really know what's going to be your sport.
Yeah, exactly. And you might try something that you don't necessarily think you'll enjoy, and then turns out you love it. So yeah.
There you go. So you started at Lichfield, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And did they have, is that mixed teams at 6 years old or a women's team?
Yeah, so from 6 up until I was 12 it was mixed, so I played with the boys. There was a couple of other girls that came and went, but I was the only girl that stayed from like age 6 till age 12. So then I left the boys, and luckily for me at Lichfield Rugby Club there was a girls section as well. So played for the under 15s team then and the under 18s team, and then went on to play for the ladies as well.
And is this rugby union?
Yeah, rugby union.
Can you tell us a bit about the difference between that and some of the other variations?
Yeah, so you've also got rugby league, rugby sevens. So rugby union, there's 15 people on a pitch on one team, and you have tackles and rucks. So when you get tackled in league, they leave the ball, scratch it through their legs and then play it away. But whereas when we get tackled, you can fight for the ball at that time as well. So you get tackled, you have to run really fast around people, or other people have to run fast. I try to, but I'm not that fast. And in sevens there's only 7 people on a pitch, and they play for 7 minutes a half, whereas we play for 40 minutes each half as well. So
wow. So yeah, rugby union is the more intense, kind of the rougher one.
Yeah, definitely. Or I don't know, the league players, they look like they get roughed up a bit, but yeah.
True, yeah. I'm sure they all do.
Yeah.
So then I think you were 16 when you left to play full-time rugby, is that correct?
Yeah, so when I was 16 I moved away to a college called Hartbury College, and that offered me to be able to study my A-levels alongside playing rugby as well. So we'd have like an early morning session of some sort, whether that was rugby, the gym, something like that, a skill session. Then we go and do our A-levels from like 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock, and then after that would be rugby as well. So we do rugby in the afternoon, gym, skills, fitness, training, all of that kind of stuff. So did that for 2 years.
Were your studies important to you at that time?
My parents told me they were. I preferred doing all the rugby stuff, but yeah, I did try and work as hard as I could, but I enjoyed the rugby more. But yeah, super important to study obviously while you're playing as well, because you need something for after sport too. So
yeah, it's really important. Definitely.
Yeah.
Something probably athletes don't always think about when they're young, and it kind of can hit them quite hard when they get to the end of their career.
Yeah, especially because with a sport like rugby, you don't know when your career is going to end. Like, you might get a really bad injury, which means you can't play again after that. So I think it's super important to have something else that you can focus on to allow you to keep playing rugby, but also if rugby's not there, you can do something else as well.
Definitely. I know, speaking of that you had a couple of big injury setbacks while at college. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so in my first year at college I ended up breaking my leg whilst I was playing. So I broke my leg, I was out for quite a while. I was out for probably 6-7 months, something like that, doing all the rehab, getting back to full strength, etc. I came back, I played a couple of games, and then I ended up breaking my collarbone, and had to have surgery on that as well. So I was out for a few months after that. So 2 sort of big injuries in the same year. It was quite hard to deal with, but yeah, we got there, we got through it. So
it must be quite difficult, obviously, having left home to move away. Obviously quite young. Most people don't leave home until they're a little bit older than sort of 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, so I was quite like, I love home, and I think my parents were maybe a little bit worried if I was going to miss home too much or not, but they obviously they supported me because I wanted to do that, and I ended up loving it and made friends there that I still speak to now, like literally made friends for life. and I just loved every second of it. So it was hard at first, like being away from home, but it was also exciting, like being away from your parents at 16, being on your own, like being with your friends all the time. So yeah, it was amazing.
How do you deal with the injuries? Do you think you're quite a resilient person?
Yeah, I'd say so. Obviously, playing rugby, injuries happen. I've had quite a few over the years, and I think as long as you surround yourself with good people, and you do all the things that you need to be doing, as long as you keep working hard, you'll get through them. And that's what I think. Like the comeback, like how am I going to be after I've come back from this injury? And I always like to think like I'll like either go back to the same place or try and be better than I was before.
So you finish your sort of rehab from your injuries, and you sort of presumably finish college not long after that.
Yeah.
Do you then continue playing for that team, or did you move? I think you went to Gloucester next.
Yeah, so I played for Lichfield throughout while I was at college, and then I ended up going to Gloucester University. And while I was there, I still played for Lichfield for a couple of years. And after Gloucester University, I then finished playing for Lichfield, and then I moved to play for Gloucester Hartpury. So I played there for a couple of years while I was working, and yeah, played there for a couple of years, and then eventually moved on to Worcester Warriors after that.
Give us an idea of the level, because obviously you've kind of gone through the ranks quite like organically from a really young age, going from mixed teams through to into playing full time. Can you tell us a bit about the differences? Yeah,
so I play in the Premiership at the moment for Leicester Tigers, so we train 3 times a week, as well as doing like extra bits of training when we're not actually at training. And like women's rugby has come on massively recently, and like the standard in the Premiership now compared to what it was, there was a big change up in the women's Prem, and it's just massively increased the standard. And it was really good getting to train like full time while I was at college and getting to experience training full time. It gets you in sort of a good mindset for when you leave, and like you have to do things on your own sometimes. So yeah, it's like the difference now compared to what it used to be is amazing. Like, and all these like younger people that come through now are all so talented and like incredible at what they do, so it's really exciting to see where it's going to go as well.
Yeah, it must be so good to see all the young ones coming through now.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your position? I know you spent the majority of your career at fly half. I think that's one of the more glamorous positions, is it?
Yeah. So I actually started out when I was younger as a scrum half, and one game I ended up swapping with the fly half, and then from there stayed at fly half pretty much. So fly half is sort of the playmaker, so you make a lot of decisions, you do the kicking, all of that kind of stuff, so you get to do the fun stuff, or what I call the fun stuff. Definitely. And then I've also played at inside centre, which is the person outside 10. I've played at 13 as well recently, which is the person outside of the inside centre, and also played at fullback as well. So I've played in sort of a few positions in the back line, which I think is quite important, like to get used to different positions, so you can, like when you play in another position, you can understand what that other position goes through, and it helps you to make your decisions as well.
Of course, yeah. I think rugby, probably out of any team game I can think of, has the biggest variance in skill sets for each position.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Whether you're a scrum half, you can have a completely different skill set to an outside centre.
Yeah, absolutely.
How often do you work? So obviously, spending most of your career at fly half, how often would you work on your kicking, and how important do you think it is to practice stuff like that? Yeah,
so it's super important, especially like the finer skills, to develop them. Try and work on them as much as I can, so at least every training session, if I have a bit of spare time, I'll go out to a pitch and do some kicking, and a lot of the time you have to do some of that stuff on your own, which can be quite difficult. I try and do it as much as I can, so that like I'm in the best place I can be with it, and so that when I'm on the field kicking, I don't let my team down, like I can do a job that they need me to.
Can you tell us about what a typical day of training looks like?
Yeah, so I also work as well, so I'm a police officer too. So a typical training day for me, if I'm not at work, will be I wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, I make sure I've fueled up well for the day. If I need to do any sort of extra training, gym sessions, I'll do it during the day. And then we go to training and we have a gym session to do. We'll have some skill sessions that we can do, different skills, so whether it's catch and pass, whether it's a bit of kicking, any sort of tackling skills, anything like that we'll do. Then we tend to have a couple of meetings, so we'll do some analysis of the game before, the game coming up. And we'll go through some stuff and like our strategy for the week, what we're going to do, and then we'll go out to rugby training as well. So then we'll do our like full rugby session in the evening, and we'll get done all the stuff we need to do, all the team stuff, all the individual stuff and everything.
So you touched on it then, you are a police officer full time. obviously quite a strenuous, stressful job. Do you think your sort of career in sport has equipped you well for that kind of role?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously in sport you have to be quite disciplined, and I think because I've played from quite a young age, like you have that discipline to get you through, and I think time management with that as well. Excuse me, when you have to manage your time of seeing your friends and family, playing sport and doing your studies, doing whatever else needs doing outside, you get used to managing really busy periods and it sort of becomes a bit second nature. So with that, that's exactly what I do at work. I have to manage things, I have to make decisions, I have to be busy, be ready to go whenever I need to be. So sort of, yeah, playing sport definitely helps that.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then in terms of the funding around women's rugby, I know that there's quite a big gap at the moment. Obviously, if yourself having to work full time, I know that's quite common. Can you tell us a bit about how the funding works and perhaps how Sports for Champions can help fill that gap?
Yeah, so the international girls, they're full-time, so they're full-time rugby players, which is amazing for them. That's quite a recent thing, and it's been a couple of years now, whatever. And I think a lot of other players are either on, like, they get paid a certain amount per game or they get contracts, but it's obviously not enough to live off. So I work full-time, so that's where my main income comes in. But also, I like to do extra little bits as well that I can, so get money for new boots and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of I know, for example, a lot of men's players and even football players get a lot of boots given to them. They get sponsored by companies. There's not that much in women's sport, so I think getting athletes out there for people to see what they do, learn what they do, I think that'll help maybe some people sponsor athletes if they can. So if we're going into schools, kids tell their parents might own a business, their parents might know someone that owns a business, and they can be like, oh, maybe I can help to support that athlete. So yeah, I think getting athletes out there and getting athletes seen also for the kids, and they can see what we do and how we do it and stuff. So yeah.
Where do you see the future of women's rugby in the UK?
I hope it goes full time at clubs. So I really hope that, I don't know if it'll be in my career, I hope it is, but I hope that women's club rugby players can be full time, because when you are full time you get that extra time to recover, your body gets to recover, you're not staying up late, getting back from training and then having to go to work the next day. That is your work, and you eat there, you do all your bits there, and then you come home. So the time you have at home is the time to yourself, and you can chill, relax, do what you need to do, see your friends and family. Whereas obviously working a job and rugby is quite difficult, managing to see everyone you need to see, get things done and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope it goes full time at club level, because that would be amazing for all the girls.
Yeah, I can imagine even where, obviously, if you're part of the international setup, there's a reason that you're there. But I think just being allowed to train full time and to really focus all of your energies around that kind of thing. Even things like nutrition, so having the time to be able to make sure that you've got all your meal prep done, and you don't necessarily have to be kind of doing it on the fly. How difficult is it to kind of get that balance? Because obviously you're training so much, working so hard, sometimes playing for multiple teams. How do you fit it all in? So we're really lucky, we get fed at training as well, and there's snacks and stuff for us. So when we're at training, we get a meal after training, we get fed. I take protein in with me and stuff, and if I'm at work, I'll make sure I've got snacks with me, I've got food ready to go. It can be quite difficult if you're getting back late at night. That's the last thing you want to be doing, is preparing your meal for the next day. So you have to be super organised, get things ready if you've got time. Sometimes I'll do a bulk cook at the start of the week, make sure I've got everything ready to go, and just making sure you got the right food as well, and getting all your nutrition in where you need to. So yeah, it is quite difficult, but I think you just adapt to it, and because I've been doing it for quite a while, I'm sort of quite used to it now. But yeah. Do you think being an athlete has made you a better person? I'd say so, yeah. It gives you a lot of discipline, hard work. You go through a lot of tough times, and athletes, high highs and low lows, so you go through a lot of stuff, and you keep pushing through. And also being in a team sport, you're surrounded by good people, so they definitely help as well, and everyone gets you through and you get other people through. So yeah, I think a lot of the life skills that sometimes is lacking in young people today can be found while doing a team sport. How important do you think it is to be part of a team? Yeah, it's super important. So I play rugby in a team, and also at work I'm in a team, so those transferable skills are super important, and not just at work.
communication is a massive one, like knowing how to talk to people, how to get the best from people. Someone's having a bad day at training and you're saying, like, you're shouting at them, it's not the right way to talk to them if they don't respond well to that. So I think learning how to understand people as well when you're working in a team, and then that helps you out. If you walk past someone in the street and you notice they're not having a good day, like if you give them a smile, that might make their day. So I think it's just learning how to read people, how to talk to people, how to communicate maybe non-verbally as well, and just try and make someone's day better, I think is super important.
Yeah, I think people's perceptions perhaps of the police and rugby might be that it's quite a male-dominated space.
Definitely.
Did you have sort of women that you looked up to growing up that kind of made you want to follow that path, or do you feel like that's something that's only kind of changing recently?
I think I was quite lucky when I played at Lichfield, because there was a women's team there, and a lot of the girls that were playing at Lichfield actually played in the England squad at the time as well. So I was quite lucky there. Like, we'd have a game in the morning and I'd stay behind to watch their games as well. So yeah, but it definitely is a lot more visible now. Like the women's premiership is now streamed on TNT. There's a game on TNT Sports every weekend, which is amazing to see, so people can watch it. Social media presence is a lot better around women's rugby now, but it definitely is a male dominated. Like, I was the only sort of regular girl in a boys team from when I was 6 to when I was 12. So now these like young girls coming up can look up and see actually like there are more girls teams available, there are more women playing rugby, and in the police as well. Yeah, I think it's been seen as quite a male dominated environment, but again I think that's probably starting to change. More females are doing sort of the more male dominated jobs, which is nice to see them out and about, because I always think if you can't see it, you don't know if you can be it or not, do you? So it's important to be able to be seen by people so they know that they can do it.
Definitely. What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind after you finish your career in rugby?
It's quite cliche in rugby, but leave that shirt in a better place. So since joining Leicester Tigers, quite a newly formed team, they're playing in the Champ last year and now they're in the Premiership this year. So if I can get this shirt to a better place than it was before, and we're building as a team, we're building as a squad. So I think, yeah, like I want to be remembered like playing rugby as a person who's always having fun when they're playing and like just enjoying their rugby. And I think that's super important, even at like those higher levels, that you still enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, then what's the point? Almost like you've got to enjoy it to keep having fun and playing your best you can play. So yeah, I want to get the shirt to a better place and just play the rugby I love and enjoy my rugby.
And what do you see for the future for yourself?
For myself, I think I see like I'm really enjoying my rugby. Like, we're building as a club, and I think getting the club to a better place, and sort of we're like sitting at the bottom of the table now, but we're building. So I think if I can be in this team when we're building and climbing up the table, then I'll be a happy person, to have like been with that club whilst we're building and getting to that higher spot in the table, if you like. So yeah.
And then finally, do you have any advice for a young person starting to think about a career in sport, or maybe rugby in particular? Yeah,
so I think try it. If you're not sure, just go and try it. There are loads of local clubs around. Your schools probably do it, so just keep trying. If you're not enjoying it, it's like stick with it for a bit. Don't just do one session and think, oh, I didn't enjoy that. Like, stick with it and just try and get to a place where you can make that decision, whether it's rugby, football, cricket, netball, hockey, like whatever sport there is, even if it's some crazy sport, like just go and try it and have fun, and take some friends along with you as well, because it's always better when you play with friends. So yeah, just go out there and try it, and as we said earlier, like try everything. Don't just try one sport, try everything and see if you enjoy it.
There you go. I think that's a great note to end it on. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. And thank you to everyone joining at home. We'll see you next time. Cheers.